All right, welcome back to learning the basics of watercolor. Today we're covering clouds. First, let's unlearn what you've been learning in school, maybe. Well, learning in grade school. If you're doing this, that's great for a kind of cartoon cloud effect, but that is not what we're going to be creating. We're going to try to create luminescent, translucent, vibrant, has a lot of form, and that's the type of cloud that we're going to try to create today. So I'm going to share with you all my supplies. So I am using 140-pound arches and watercolor paper. I'm using the Scotch Magic tape here just to tape my edges down. And then I'm also using this thin masking tape. It's white. It's really cool because you can mask off tiny little areas as opposed to large, thick areas. So let's get into it. I'm going to use my number 8 round brush, and this is a part of an inexpensive, under $15 set that's perfect for beginners. And I'll link that in the description below. I'm just going to use a limited palette. I'm going to use just cerulean blue and ultramarine blue for right now. And let's go for those really high clouds. I'm just going to go wet onto dry, and then eventually I'll get wet onto wet. Okay, so I'm trying to create a dark to light, so as you get towards the ground, the foreground, it's going to get lighter and lighter. So let's see if we can just turn the page right here and let the water kind of go down. So I'm creating a graded wash. Okay, quickly here. Okay, so let's just get it a little more dramatic. Just kind of going in there and letting it do its thing. So the next part to creating kind of those, I mean, you could stop right there and say those are clouds, or you could add a tissue paper and start to do those cirrostratus clouds. Remember, those are the clouds that are way up high, and you kind of just lightly dab and create some of these lines way up there. So those are those simple clouds way up in the sky. And you can also use a Q-tip to create some of those effects too. Okay, this is taking away the moisture, so it's really creating some interesting effects way up high. That's a great idea when you're just trying to do little tiny details in clouds as well. Okay, so those are the really high clouds. So the clouds that are in the middle, let's call them the alto cumulus clouds. And I'm also going to just start off with wet onto dry. And let's get real dramatic and go real dark. And this technique right now that I'm using is taking away the paint. Okay, so when you take away the paint, you have a little more control as to where you want clouds, as opposed to doing dry brushing or anything like that. All right, so now let's try to hold this down for 2 or 3 seconds. And now we're creating those nice cloud puffs, and those are the alto cumulus clouds. So we're going to do that a few more times. And we're just going to kind of do it randomly, just count to 1, 2. And these cloud puffs are sometimes together, sometimes they're farther away. So to make these look even more realistic as opposed to just tissue paper smudges, you can soften up a little bit of those edges just with some water. Since everything is kind of wet into wet, you can kind of make those look a little more realistic. Okay, that gives it a little more depth to it. Okay, And then as you get closer, the clouds that I really enjoy are the rain clouds. So those clouds are the cumulus and the stratocumulus. So I'm going to start off with wet ultramarine blue onto dry. Okay, we're just starting off simple, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced as we go along here. But this is definitely the technique that is the easiest, just taking away with your tissue paper. Let's create a larger cloud, and this time I'm not going to make it go inside a ball. I want to try to create the cloud with my tissue paper. So I'm going to try to form what has like a little bit of a peak to it and then a little bit of a point to it, and that will create kind of that nimbostratus or cumulus cloud. Okay, so you can see that it created a different type of shape, and now the only difference between the last one and this one is we're getting more, well, we're getting a little bit more shape. So I'm going to get some of my Opera Rose and Ultramarine Blue. And you know what? I'm going to throw in just a little bit of Payne's Gray. So just a little bit. So now I'm cleaning off my brush. I'm going to mix some of those together, making sure I just have a ton of water on my brush. And I'm just going to go in here and see if I can give a little bit of darkness to that shape. Add some more water. Okay, so you can start to see that I'm trying to, I'll give a little more point to the top of this cloud. Okay, so as you go along. Okay, so here's giving it a little bit more, drama with creating a little bit of, here, let's darken in just the top of there so I can going back over that. So you can start to see the shape of that one is getting a little bit more advanced because I'm trying to create a dark edge to it. And then I'm going to clean off my brush, and now I'm going to soak up some of that. So now you can really create some soft effects. So you can also, instead of using a tissue paper, use your paintbrush to lighten up areas. And it gives it a nice rounded effect, deeper, and go back in, and you can go back and forth with that idea. So you can start to see that the shape is starting to come along now. So really with your marks, you just want to be real random. You don't want to do anything that's real formulaic, and just you just want to be organic. All right, so moving on, let's do some dry brushing to create some clouds. So I'm going to use hardly any water on my brush, and I'm just going to go straight for ultramarine blue. I'm going to use the side of my brush. I want to try to create some of those cumulus clouds. I noticed that, you know, they have kind of a base to them. I'm holding the brush to the side, so it's almost parallel to the paper. And I'm just going to kind of use the side and go up. And this is another fun technique to create clouds with. Okay, so you can create all those shapes. Remember, just to come back every once in a while, create those edges. But this is a nice effect. This is more like the old masters and the way they would paint. Okay, so you're just creating light effects on there. And this is like you're painting the negative space. So you see the clouds. I'm going to dip a little more because I'm running out. You're painting the negative space. So you're going to be doing random lines. You can do a couple lines in there because sometimes you do see lines in the clouds. So this is a fun technique as well, just to create the clouds. You can kind of go like that to fill in some more, but you should kind of hear a scratching effect as you paint these clouds. Okay, so that's a a fun technique to create clouds with. And if you're going for really, really realistic, let's go for some real drama. So we're going to go from real dark to ultramarine blue. Okay, so this is really dramatic to cerulean blue, kind of creating this wash as we go down. And let's see if we can take away in this wet into wet technique. So the rain clouds, they've come and they're wiping everything out. Let's go in here and see if we can kind of work in some clouds into the darkness. Okay, so you do a few smudge lines there. So we have the dark drama up here. And now just work in where you think some random clouds should be. So let's add in a little bit more of the upper rose down here. Okay. And we're really adding just a lot of water to, we might have to go back and forth just adding and taking away, but you can see this is more of a dramatic cloud effect here, bringing down some of those darks into the cloud. And then let's just go back in again. So you may have to do it a few times to create the effects that you're really after. But experimenting is key with this. Okay, to create those big puffs of clouds. Maybe it's coming down to a point a little bit more. So it's always going to be heavier towards the base when you have the rain type of cloud. Okay. So as you kind of keep going back in there, and this would be the, as you look towards the horizon line. So you can lighten up areas again, take away, but you can start to see the transition here now. We're getting darker to lighter in those. And you can also use, I think I've mentioned this before, but you can use your brush to take away some of that wetness and really create the round effects, making it look like it has form. Okay, so let's keep going on. Let's start off with cerulean blue, and as we get more advanced, you'll get more confident and starting to create random puffs of lines. And this time I'm not doing dry brushing, but I am starting to visualize where I want some of my clouds. So I'm going to have some kind of go around there. And I want it to be darker up here because that's where the tops of the clouds are. And so you get to choose your shapes at this point. And as it gets towards the horizon line, everything is always softer. So you want to clean off your brush and get lighter and lighter. And so while it is still slightly wet, I'm going to mix in my mixture of blue, pink, opera rose, and Payne's gray. I'm going to try to get a little bit more of this darker effect here. And as that blue goes into there, that's okay, because I want it to kind of run into there. Okay, so that's going to create some nice effects as well. Just having the base of those. And I'm using a lot of water here, but you can see how there's a nice high contrast between the white tops of the clouds, and now I'm just adding a little bit more to create those shadows. So that's a nice effect as well. And if you feel like you've overdone it in areas, like maybe up here, then you just take away. But always keep that nice white edge so you can make sure you feel like you have the light source happening. Okay, so just practice with all these different types of techniques, and one of them will stick with you, because I've always loved creating clouds and cloud shapes because it is so organic and ever moving. Clouds are constantly moving, and as I have a window right by my studio, I'm constantly looking out at the different cloud formations. So you can also keep going back in, putting details, and just remember, once you feel like you have the cloud effect you want, don't touch it. It's easy to overwork clouds, and just let it be. So that is your 6 types of clouds today. I hope you enjoyed that.